What's goody people? Yo, the fallback digital. Excuse the light and everything, man. I just wanted to do this real quick. It's a live going on right now about, what's going on in the world. And this right here alone by itself can tell you that Biden can't do the job. He's not able to do the job. He's trying to negotiate trucks coming in and things of that nature in regards to humanitarian aid and all this. This is full of crap. Yo, this is all I'm going to say, and let's get to it because this is more important so you can make your decision for November because this guy is full of it. He is full of it. He don't care about these people. These people are dying every single day. People being bombed, things of that nature. This has to stop. Let's listen to his whole staff, which is all Israelis. They all Israelis. All right? Look it up. Now let's get to it.
We can
This
get the
is
hostages
live,
out.
guys. It's
Humanitarian
live.
assistance. The need to see that steps are being taken to learn from this strike and to make changes in the way civilian harm is mitigated from an operational perspective. And they did spend time, as the readout makes clear, talking about the very public threats from Iran to Israel. And the president, as I said, made very clear to the prime minister that the United States' support for Israel's ability to defend itself from a range of threats, not just Hamas, remains ironclad.
Good, Danny.
Thanks, Kareem. Thanks, Admiral.
This
Just
is
a
a
couple of
live,
things.
guys, but
Firstly,
I'm
how
gonna be
long will
pausing it
this
to do my
call
reaction. Listen, Iran is beefing with Israel because Israel is committing genocide. People, let's not just let him just say BS. All right, everybody know that people from Iran and they got people over there, and a lot of because it's Muslims over there. That's what's going on. Muslims are being slaughtered by Israel Israel forces. All right, and Hamas is one of them, and they acting like they the terrorist group and Israel's trying to help. That's all a disguise and plot to eliminate the people of Gaza. Alright? That's what it is. Go look it up. Don't let them tell you anything else. Alright, let's go. Let's read between the lines.
It was about 30 minutes or so.
And just going back to, Jeff's question about the, why this sort of change in tone? I mean, has there been growing frustration on the part of President Biden that previous messaging to Prime Minister Netanyahu just doesn't seem to have gotten through?
Yes, there's been growing frustration.
Thank you so much, Kareem. John, one question on Israel and another on Venezuela. We saw in the past President Biden pushing Netanyahu to protect civilians, but how much words really matter here when on actions the same day of the attack on the humanitarian wards, the U.S. was approving more bombs to Israel? We are now 6 months into the war. How much the U.S. actions are actually encouraging Israel to not do enough to protect civilians?
Yeah, look, I'm kind of glad the question came up because I would tell you when I've seen press reporting, about the arms sales and that kind of thing, and I would just remind you that it, with the exception of the immediate 2 months after the attack, we haven't really sent emergency aid and military assistance to Israel. There was in the first couple of months. But what you're seeing here is the result of a process of foreign military sales to Israel that takes years. And a lot of this material that's been reported publicly was notified to Congress many, many months, if not years ago, and are in the train to get to Israel. I think it's important to remember, as I tried to mention in the last answer, that Israel still has a lot of threats it faces. I mean, we're all focused.
No. Palestine has a lot of threat it faces. People don't understand. You can look in a Bible of 1948. You are not going to see a landmass saying anything that says Israel. You're going to see a landmass that says Palestine. All right? Go back, all the way back until 1945. You is not going to see no landmass that says Israel. You're going to see a landmass on the map in the Bible or whatever history book is going to say Palestine. So, as we know it, the United States is fighting and committing genocide against the Palestine people. And we see it. This is why the people are voting for Trump. Now, we don't have no issue with Israel. The issue is people are dying for what they're trying to take. They're trying to take land and the beachfront of Gaza, whatever. They want this piece of land, right? When most of the land was theirs. All they want to do is live in peace with you people, and you people are committing murder, genocide, and things of that nature. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, really? It is not Israel's real land. If you do history, it's Palestine's land, which is crazy. Everybody can just go back in history past 1948 or to 1948 and beyond is going to say Palestine. All right? Let's keep it going. This is a
focused on
lie.
Hamas, and I understand that, but they still face active threats throughout the region, including from Iran. And the United States still has an ironclad commitment to help Israel with its self-defense. And so a lot of these articles, including the 2,000-pound bombs and the F-35s, those are things that have been long in the train and not tied. The foreign military sales process was not tied to this conflict.
Can I have one more on Venezuela, quick? Because yesterday Nicolás Maduro enacted a law creating a province of Venezuela in Guyana, and he accused the United States of building secret military bases in Essequibo. So what is your reaction? And is the U.S. considering build a military base to support Guyana to defend their sovereignty?
There's no plans for a secret military base. And we've said many times that there's an 1899 arbitral ruling about the border between Guyana and Venezuela, and we want both sides to respect that ruling and to do it peacefully.
Thank you. You said we would hope to see an announcement of changes. I'm wondering if that is just hope, or is it an expectation? Is it based on a commitment?
We expect that there will be some announcements coming from Israel in the coming hours and days, but I want to respect their right to manage that process on their own.
Okay. And was there any update given by the Prime Minister on what exactly happened with the World Central Kitchen envoy?
They didn't talk about the actual strike in great detail. The Prime Minister did reiterate, as his military has reiterated, that this was on them, that the investigation was concluding, that he looked forward to seeing it, and that he would take appropriate actions to make sure something like that couldn't happen again. I mean, they did, obviously they talked about it, of course. But did they go through point by point the investigation's findings? No, because I think the Prime Minister's office is still evaluating the actual investigation results.
And just to try to get a technical understanding, as you described the very long process of supplying arms to Israel, if this contingency isn't met and there is a change in U.S. policy, how easy or hard would it be to slow down or change shipments to Israel based on current law and all of the requirements and all the things you just described?
Yeah, again, I don't.
See, they basically want to see where America's balls is at. So she trying to see, like, yo, if you tell Israel something and they don't do it, like, what are you going to do? You understand? Because that's what Israel been doing. They just been doing what they want to do, and without no consequences at all from international law, from the World Health Organization, from the United Nations, and it goes on and on and on. Like, America is looking very weak, especially with this guy. I don't know what this guy is, man. This guy right here, he's full of fluff. He's with all the smoke that Israel's bringing Gaza. He wants it. He's funding it. He's giving them arms and tanks and everything. I'm telling you, man, it's crazy. For what? To kill women and children that don't got no weapons, no bombs to defend themselves. Come on, guys. Trump 2024, baby. Let's keep it going.
Want to get ahead of where we are.
Oh, yeah,
Let's see
I'm at 7-Eleven.
what the Israeli side does and says, and what they implement and where they go before we talk
There's
about
only one
actual
subscriber,
policy
but,
decisions.
hey.
And I'm certainly not going to close down decision space for the President of the United States. He gets to make those decisions. But,
talking.
I mean, obviously, as Commander-in-Chief, and yes, the foreign military sales certainly is supported by legislation, but there are certain authorities that you can do to manage that. But again, let's not get ahead of where we are. This is really about seeing what the Israelis say they're going to do and then act on those changes.
Admiral, has the U.S. lost its leverage with Prime Minister Netanyahu?
You know, I keep getting this question about leverage. Israel's an ally and a friend and a partner. And the president believes strongly and has for his entire public career in the security of the Israel.
Now, a lot of people don't know is why Israel is an ally is because, see, a lot of people wonder why. A lot of people wonder why. A lot of people wonder why hate. A lot of people wonder why hate is still around. Racism is still around. It's because guess what? Their interest is Ukraine and Israel. These people breed hate. They breed hate. They breed hate towards people. They teach hate to children. Okay? So when they come over here, they coming over here doing what? Shooting up schools and things of that nature. Right? Like a lot of people don't understand that last, what was that? That was a shooting in some type of mall, whatever. And that was a trans. And also a Jew. What a coincidence, right? And they wasn't quick to report that. But that's another story, man. But those two breeds hate. Germany used to be one of them. I don't know if they're still doing that anymore in regards to breeding their hate and all that and building an army full of people who have hate that want to do harm to others, to other races. You get what I'm saying? This is their interest. This is how they could keep divide. All right. Now, to keep the divide going, because a lot of people, it's an awakening going on. And the awakening brings people together because everybody is thinking alike. People having like minds. Understand? So when they have like minds and stuff, these people are coming together and helping each other. Right? So now them people, they see what's going on and they like, we're gonna have to ante up our interests over there in Ukraine and over there in Israel. Okay? So while that's happening, them people was flooding the US. Flooding the US. They coming in. They coming past the border. They coming in. Raising havoc. Flooding drugs in the neighborhoods. Minority neighborhoods. White neighborhoods, whatever. Flooding crime. Flooding drugs. Guns. You understand that? Creating division. Creating divide. Creating racism. Putting racism over here. Putting racism over there. Bringing all that shit back. Because you know what? It creates separation. Now, when these things go on, we got to know that these people are not from here. And if they are, we deal with them accordingly. But the people that's not from here doing these things, we going to have to watch out. Because all they're going to get is a slap on the wrist. So we got to think wisely and handle these people accordingly. You understand that? Because all they're going to get is a slap on the wrist and deported right back. You understand me? So everybody got to wake up. So let's get back to it. Know what I'm saying? Because I know I'm talking too much and I don't even want this video to, you know what I mean? To be too long. You understand me? So let's get back to it and let's go.
Israeli people and the longevity of the Israeli state, and that's not going to change. And I can say unequivocally, and I don't think the Prime Minister would mind me saying here that in the call today, the Prime Minister reiterated his thanks to President Biden and this administration for the support that we have continued to provide Israel. It's long-standing. It was before the 7th of October, and it is now. And that support's going to continue. But
see? And that support is killing innocent people that have no means of protecting themselves. It's just a small demographic of people who's committing these crimes towards Israel. As you can see, Israel is winning and they are not letting up. They continue to kill innocent people to get to the bad people, as they say that they, I mean, as like they said, they made a mistake doing that, but I really believe that that was purposely done. They are purposely killing the youth of the Palestinian people. And yeah, the whole world needs to come forward and yeah, enact new gov and get it cracking and get these people out of here, man, because it's getting ridiculous, people. Let's get to it, because these lives in regards to press secretary and all these other people, man, it takes a while, about an hour or so. But I'm still gonna react. Let's go.
But again, with respect to Gaza, we need to see certain changes. And if we don't, then we'll have to consider changes to our own policy. But it's not about leverage. It's about the relationship, and it's about the credibility. I would even say the unique credibility that this particular president has in Israel and with Israeli leadership, based on his long public service of support.
Talk about this relationship. Do you think the prime minister is really listening?
It was. I think it was evident in the phone call today. It was a good discussion, direct, no question, but a good discussion, and I believe the president made very clear his concerns, and the prime minister acknowledged those concerns.
In terms of the timing of this call, we understand that this call was set up after the strike on the World Central Kitchen workers. Would you say that this call was a direct result of that? Was that the reason behind the call?
Yes.
And then one last thing, response to Jose Andres, Chef Andres says that the convoy was deliberately targeted. Any response from the U.S. on that?
Again, I haven't seen the Israeli investigation. They have said themselves publicly, after a preliminary investigation, that there was no deliberate targeting of WCK and Chef Andres. They're working their way through now an independent follow-on investigation, which I understand is very, very close to complete. The Prime Minister just talked about it broadly and reiterated today. The Prime Minister reiterated today that there was no deliberate targeting of that aid convoy.
Good night. Thank you, Karine. Two questions. Senator Coons, who's very close to the president, said that we have reached a moment where arms restriction to Israel should be considered. Senator Warren also said that Israel has violated our own laws. Are they wrong in their assessment?
The president, I think it's clear in the readout, Nadia, that the president has made it clear today that if we don't see changes to the way the IDF is treating innocent civilians and aid workers and flowing the humanitarian assistance, that he's going to have to reconsider our Gaza policy. So, I mean, he was very direct with the prime minister about that. I'm not going to close down his decision space. As satisfying as that may be for some of you, I can't do that. But he made it very clear that we need to see some changes on the Israeli side.
I want to ask you about very disturbing investigative report.
Do you see how weak that is, right? We need to see changes on the Israeli side. Now, all my life, right? America's been the #1 top military, top superpower of the world. Do you understand me? And him just saying that, like they gotta make some changes when they're committing genocide, no. You tell them they better change right now. That's how America used to work. America would tell them, you do this now or we blow up your military forces, so you will stop. All right, there's innocent people dying and this needs to stop. But they're not doing that. They being very sweet and dandy with them on some, just change this up and do this and do that and make these changes. Like, come on, they asking, man. Yo, man, America has lost it. Let's continue.
By an Israeli journalist who said that is the White House aware of an AI program called Lavender that's been used by the Israeli army to target operative in Gaza in what they call a kill zone, where this program has only 20 seconds of human supervision, and it led to the death of thousands of women and children in Gaza. Do you think, are you aware of it, number one? And second, does the White House believe that AI can be used in this way without supervision?
I'm not aware of it. You're going to have to let me take that question. We'll get back to you.
Thank you so much, John. I'm going to start with the Trilateral Summit, then I'm going to move on to Rwanda. First of all, looking ahead to the Trilateral Summit next week, what are some of the priorities? And we recently heard the Filipino ambassador say that the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines are going to start joint patrols in the South China Sea very soon. Can you confirm that and give us any details?
I believe the Pentagon will have more to say about that this afternoon. So I don't want to get ahead of them on that. We're always looking for opportunities to improve cooperation with our allies in the Indo-Pacific. We're looking forward to this trilateral summit next week. I think it'll be very, very important. As you know, we have self-defense treaty commitments with both countries. And so the chance to sit down with both his Japanese and his Filipino counterparts is something the president's very much looking forward to. There's an awful lot to discuss. Certainly the tensions in the South China Sea are not going away. That was an issue that was raised in the president's call with President Xi just a couple of days ago. And so there's an awful lot to talk about there.
Then on Rwanda, I'm going to ask a multi-part
Cool. I did not think my answer was cool, but
It's a small country, doesn't get a lot of attention, but President Biden has decided to send President Clinton
Correct.
to observe the 30th anniversary of the genocide. What message does this send to Rwandans who are understandably upset about President Clinton's lack of action when the genocide was happening? Secondly, what message is President Clinton taking to President Kagame, who's been in power since 1994 and has become increasingly authoritarian? And then finally, in 1998, President Clinton pledged the Rwandan people that his administration was going to work to identify triggers of genocidal activity. So that something like this.
Clinton and his wife is one sloppy president. And for real, they are very sloppy. Their hands got so much blood on them. It's ridiculous, people. Let's continue.
Never happen again. Do you think Washington has improved on that front in the last 30 years?
I believe, I can't speak for every administration between 1998 and today, but I can tell you that President Biden absolutely takes those responsibilities very, very seriously, particularly when it comes to genocidal threats, wherever they occur around the world. And he's very grateful.
False. He's still not doing nothing right now. The Palestinian people are dying right now. They're getting bombed right now. He is not sympathetic with that, because if he was, he will threaten Israel to stop. So as I'm looking and observing what's going on, it looked like Israel has more power than the United States of America. And that's how it's looking right now, guys. And that's very sad to see, because a lot of people don't know that Israel has the most advanced military in the world, and they're committing genocide right now. Like, they can't avoid this with the high-tech military gadgets or whatever. They can make this look very, very sweet, and your technology is not working for you to where you have to bomb a whole hospital with innocent people in it to get some so-called terrorists in your country. Yeah, I'm not believing in that, but let's keep it. Let's continue.
That President Clinton has agreed to lead the delegation for the 30th anniversary. 800,000 people slaughtered in that conflict, and our hearts and our prayers go out to the families of the survivors, of those who were killed. Just a dreadful situation. And again, the president's grateful that President Clinton has agreed to go down there and represent the administration.
Good, Phil.
Thank you. I have two questions, one on Israel and another on China. At this point in the conflict, does President Biden believe that a military victory against Hamas is possible for Israel?
Obviously, that's going to be up to the Israeli Defense Forces and the Israeli government to determine. As I've said many, many times, it's difficult to eliminate an ideology with military means, but you can absolutely, through military means, decapitate their leadership, dry up their resources, eliminate their infrastructure, their ability to operate, store weapons, train troops. I mean, all of that stuff can be targeted with military means. But as I've also said, and you have to keep it in the context of this call, it matters how you do that. It really matters a lot how you do that. And it's the how that the president was focused on today, and the way these operations are being prosecuted, and the additional harm that's coming to civilian aid workers and innocent Gazans.
And then Xi reportedly told President Biden during their summit in San Francisco that Beijing plans to reunify Taiwan with mainland China. Did the Chinese leader bring up similar sentiment in their call the other day? And if so, what was President Biden's response?
I would certainly Taiwan came up in the context of the call. There's not a single discussion that we don't have with senior leaders in the PRC where we don't talk about Taiwan. Of course, it came up. I won't characterize President Xi's comments, but I can tell you that President Biden was very, very clear that nothing's changed about our one China policy. We don't support independence for Taiwan.
Let me just say this for the record. Biden is never clear. He never answers questions. He's never clear on what he says. And yeah, he can't finish a sentence. So do y'all believe this dude right here? Biden makes himself very clear. Yes, he makes himself very clear that he is destroying America from inside, from within, because he's the president. Just continue.
But we also don't want to see the status quo changed in a unilateral way, and certainly not by force.
Okay, a couple more. Go ahead, Jared.
I know you said that Rafah wasn't the point of this conversation and it wasn't discussed a lot. Does that mean that that is still sort of a separate issue that's going to be sort of an ongoing discussion between U.S. and Israeli officials?
I don't know if I'd call it separate. It wasn't a focus of this call. The call was, as I answered to MJ, it was really about the humanitarian situation and changes we need to see. But we look forward to having another conversation with Israeli counterparts in coming days, hopefully in a week or so, on Rafah specifically. And we hope this next one will be in person, but we'll have more to say about that as we get closer to it.
So an operation in Rafah would not sort of run counter to these new conditions that the president laid out to the president?
I didn't say that at all. I mean, one of the big concerns about a ground operation in Rafah that we've expressed is the damage it could do, the death and destruction it could render to the 1.5 million Gazans that are seeking refuge there. So, again, today's call was really focused on humanitarian assistance, civilian casualties, and that includes humanitarian aid workers. You can't talk about Rafah and the possibility of operations going after those Hamas battalions in Rafah without also talking about the humanitarian situation down there, which is dire.
Yeah, Brian.
Thanks a lot, Admiral. Does President Biden agree with Donald Trump that Israel's war against Hamas is taking a long time?
I'm not going to compare the president's views to Mr. Trump. I think you can understand. I need to stay out of that. All I would tell you is we have expressed our concerns.
Listen, because Trump's policies and everything that Trump is doing is against what they stand for. They stand for genocide, manipulation, things of that nature. And Trump is about, you heard what he said in the patent, I'm sure y'all saw it. He said, I want people to stop dying. All right? Now, that's some good, that sounds very good coming from a president, which he is not the president right now, but I'm sure we are waiting for him to take office in the coming months. Let's go.
About the manner in which operations are being conducted, and the speed and the energy with which we want to see changes to the way those operations are being conducted. And I think I'd leave it at that.
Does the president think that Israel's war against Hamas is taking too long?
The president believes that they have a right to go after the Hamas threat, which is still viable. And the president made it clear again today that we support and we will continue to support, not just philosophically, but tangibly, Israel's right to defend itself against a range of threats, and certainly that includes this fight against Hamas. But again, I want to reiterate, what I said earlier, it's not just the threat of Hamas that Israel's facing. They are facing broader threats throughout the region, including directly and publicly from Iran.
John, a follow-up on that first. Did the CIA warn Israel, or did President Biden warn Netanyahu today about an Iranian plan to attack inside Israel within 48 hours?
I'm not going to talk about intelligence matters, Peter. I think you can understand. But they did talk about a very public and very viable, real threat by Iran to Israel's security. And I think I need to leave it at that. It's really as far as I can go.
On October 7th, President Biden said, "My administration's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering." That is not true anymore, correct?
No, it is true. Still true today.
How is his support unwavering, but you're also reconsidering policy choices?
Both can be true.
They cannot be true. They're completely different things.
No. I'm sorry.
He is wavering.
No, come on.
How is he not wavering?
Come on now. As I said, and as it's...
I like Dorsey, man. Dorsey calls them out on they fluff. If y'all don't know who Dorsey is, look him up. He is one of the main journalists there, or whoever, the news guys there, who asks the right questions, and he always asks the right questions, and he makes sure they put their foot in their mouth. You get what I'm saying? So shout out to Dorsey. Shout out to Dorsey, man. Like,
it says in that readout, we made clear, and he made it clear to the Prime Minister in his call, that our support for Israel's self-defense remains ironclad. They face a range of threats, and the United States isn't going to walk away from helping Israel defend itself. That said, you can say all that, and you can act on that, and you can believe that, and the president does, and still believe that the manner in which they're defending themselves against the Hamas threat needs to change. And that is the conversation that we had today. But both things are...
Listen, the way that Israel is doing to the Palestinian people, Israel won already. Just because there's threats, they are killing innocent people, guys. I'm gonna just say that like that. They are killing innocent people just because there are threats. That's what I'm getting here. Because they are winning the war. The Palestinian people are losing. Gaza is losing. People, women, and children. Let's continue. They full of fluff.
Are true. Our support is ironclad and consistent. It's not gonna stop. It's not gonna waver. But will there perhaps be some policy changes we might have to make if we don't see policy changes out of Israel? Yes.
How is that unwavering? It sounds like you guys are trying to have it both ways here.
No, I don't know that
Israel,
I can.
But we are going to make all these changes because we don't support Israel.
I didn't say we're going to make changes. I said we need to see how Israel responds to the humanitarian.
See, Dorsey is letting the people know in a different type of way that America don't got no balls. America lost his hand. America is not the power no more. They letting us know who is the power, who is telling them what they gonna do and what they not gonna do. What they gonna do and what they not gonna do. Israel is the powerhouse here, and the United States is just a puppy dog.
Crises in Gaza and how they respond to the protection of aid workers. I think we can all agree. I think you would agree. You don't want to see innocent civilians killed or targeted, do you? You don't want to see Gazans starve. You don't want to see famine in Gaza, do you? Of course.
It's already happening, buddy. It's already happening. And I see they stopped the media and they stopped people. It looked like they took all the people from Gaza and the Palestinian people's phones because I haven't been seeing no footage lately of the damage that's been going on over there, which is kind of suspect. Like, what's going on? But let's continue.
But you're a policymaker and you're talking about policy changes. That is not what you were talking about on October 7th.
Because
Right out the
it
door.
was solid and unwavering.
on October 7th, there wasn't near famine in Gaza. On October 7th, there wasn't a diminution of trucks getting into Gaza. On October 7th, we didn't see thousands and thousands of innocent people killed. I mean, I could go on and on. We're talking about a conflict there, which is dang near at 6 months here. This weekend, 6 months. And it has changed over time. And what the president's message today was, we need to see some changes in the.
It's changed over time. They are full of fluff because guess what, guys? Every other war, right? When you in America, when we looking at war, let me just switch over for a minute, man. Y'all gotta see me in my body language. You know what I mean? Now listen. All the time in America, what they do, all the way since, I don't even know this, know what I mean? Y'all gonna know my age by me saying this. All the way from Desert Storm Army. War, the Desert Storm War, right? They've been filming the war, showing everything. All the way up until Iraq, Iran. You understand me? They showing everything. All the way up to Iraq when they showed the 2 dead bodies of Saddam Hussein's children, adult children, on stretchers, dead. On the news, on CNN. But now today, right? Today, in this war, in the Gaza war, in the so-called Israel war, it ain't no footage. Where's the footage? Where's the video? Why is so contained? It's so contained. You don't hear nothing about it. You hear that, they had wars, beef, and there's issues and everything, but at the same time, we used to seeing the soldiers on the news every day. You know what I mean? We understand it's not our soldiers, but we usually be seeing the wars, especially the wars that we supporting, the wars that we're funding. The taxpayers should be able to see it on TV because if that's the case, all this shit is a lie. Y'all just taking the American people money because we don't see no war. I don't see it on the news. Even when the Ukraine thing happened, you had YouTubers that was from Ukraine back in the days when the Ukraine thing happened, and they showing Kyiv and all that on video on a 24-hour camera. No war, everybody living their best life. But they mentioning these places on CNN and this and this. Come on. They are full of fluff. This is probably gonna be my first video, man, going past this. Hey, let's make this my first video, you did? I know I messed up in the beginning because, somebody said something in the background, but it happens when you live and you recording on the fly. You know what I mean? I told you I had to get to this because it was live. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to react to it while it's going right now, and it's still live. And I paused it, but let's get back to it because, this joint is real, man. You get what I'm saying? Like, they fluffing. They full of fluff. Full of it. Oh, man, this is what we dealing with, people. This is why it's Trump 2023, you know the dig? So, and I'm going to say this all the time. All the people, just a reminder, when you go to vote, please, my people, stay focused, stay aware, protect yourself while you going to go vote. You understand that? This day and age of voting is kind of different. You understand? So let's be safe. Just take take some drastic measures. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what's going on. We don't know. There's a lot of people that came in. There's a lot of people that came into to the U.S. and we don't know what their plan is in regards to the Democrats, and you get what I'm saying? And because they know they losing in November. They know. So we got to be prepared, or whatever shenanigans or atrocities they trying to commit, propaganda they trying to create. All right? And all the people, let's stay together and let's get back to the video. Let's go.
Way Israel is dealing with that threat. That's what two good friends and allies can discuss. This isn't about changing our support to Israel or the security of the Israeli state. And I just have to take issue with the premise of the question.
Okay, just the last one then. Where is President Biden on any of this? When he wants to talk about how angry he is or frustrated he is about the high cost of insulin, he comes out and gives an impassioned speech. Where is he on any of this?
He's been talking about this. He's been issuing statements on this.
In private?
No, that statement, last I looked, was public.
But where is he? Why isn't he here right now?
I'm sure you'll continue to hear from the president about this and many other national security issues.
I love Dorsey. Shout out to Dorsey. Because you know why? This guy, he's a senior citizen. Know what I mean? So he takes naps. And while everybody's answering questions for this dude, he's out in the White House somewhere taking a nap with his old behind, man. Let's get back to the video.
Anything about White House views on upcoming UN Security Council resolution to prohibit nuclear weapons in space, which is scheduled to vote as soon as Friday?
Yeah, actually I can. And if you don't mind, I do have some notes. I want to make sure that I get this right. But I think last month, Ambassador Thomas Greenfield announced that the United States and Japan would put forward a Security Council resolution calling on all countries not to deploy nuclear weapons in space or to develop nuclear weapons specifically designed to be placed in orbit around the Earth. And we will be bringing this resolution to a vote in New York early next week. Now, the vote should be straightforward. The Outer Space Treaty, which has been signed by more than 130 countries, including Russia, PRC, and of course the United States, prohibits the deployment of, quote, nuclear weapons or other kinds of weapons of mass destruction, end quote, in orbit, period. Now, we have heard President Putin say that Russia has no intention of deploying nuclear weapons in space. So we look forward to Russia voting in favor of this resolution. There should be no reason why not to. And if they do, then I think that should open up some really legitimate questions to Mr. Putin about what his intentions really are.
The U.S., we got missiles out in space. But the Russians and all other 130 countries, they can't have missiles in outer space. So this is how they going to try to get Putin or something, man? Like, I don't know what's going on, man. Like, this is crazy, man. Like, this dude's face right here is funny. And I really believe that this is the guy who's running Biden. And also the Fed. You see, because the Fed is funding everything, all the shenanigans, all the BS that's going on. Let's continue.
You have the last question.
Admiral, could you clarify on the ceasefire language that the president used in the statement? He says that that there should be a ceasefire, and then the next, after a comma, it's he urged Prime Minister and power negotiators to conclude a deal without delay. So are the two tied together, or is he saying ceasefire right now, and then the other thing later? I mean, how immediate is immediate?
I can't really improve upon the president's language. We want to see a pause in the fighting. We want to see a ceasefire immediately, so that we can get more.
Mind you, people, if you don't know, this talks in regards to the ceasefire has been going on for about 3 months already. 3 months, or I believe longer than that. And you see the procrastination. They move very quickly for other countries and other this and other that. But for these people over there, in regards to stopping the war, stopping it, so people can, oh my goodness, man. And it's crazy because, listen, I'm already hearing these people already live in the outside prison. So Israel's already winning. Now the majority of the people never been to Israel, but I know the people who did go understand. Now let's continue.
Humanitarian assistance in and create a set of conditions where aid organizations feel better about operating inside Gaza, because as we've already seen it as a result of the attack on the WCK workers, that some aid organizations now are pulling back. So we want to see that immediate ceasefire in place. We also, of course, as we've said many times, think that that could also provide a window here to get the hostages out.
All right, thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Before you go, was it an ultimatum?
Listen, this dude didn't say nothing about helping the Palestinian people. Everything was Israel, 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 Israel. So you already know. To me, his hate is towards the Palestinian people. That's just my opinion, allegedly. All right, let's continue.
Was it an ultimatum?
All right, thank you so much, Admiral.
That's great.
He's screaming.
Either before the call or after the call, has the White House briefed lawmakers on Capitol Hill about this potential change in U.S. policy? What is at stake here?
Well, look.
Yo, no lie. Every time she come out, yo, she be looking uneasy, and you know she gotta prepare for Dorsey in the crowd right there. Like he's gonna ask the hard questions, man. Be prepared. Let's go.
I think the Admiral made it very clear. We are giving the Israeli government an opportunity to deal with something that is pretty serious. Humanitarian aid workers who are we saw this week being killed. I think we talked about, we've seen that more than 200 humanitarian aid workers in the past several.
Listen, guys. This is what people in war do. They'll kill their own people to buy themselves some time to keep bombing another race of people. They'll bomb a little bit of their people to be like, oh, look, they did this and did that. I don't believe nothing what these people say anymore. They lied so much out their mouth and through their actions and everything. Like, how we still gonna believe these people? Oh, my goodness, man.
Months. And so that needs to stop. And so we're giving the Israeli government, as you heard from my colleague, come up with some ways, some measures here on how to avoid that. We have to keep civilians safe. We have to keep humanitarian workers safe. And so I don't want to get ahead of that. We're always having conversations.
You see how they don't never say, yo, man, we trying to keep the Palestinian people safe. You understand what I'm saying? Like, the U.S. used to always be on the people who are losing the fight. Okay? Palestinians, they are losing the war. They're not telling the whole world that because they are committing genocide, people. All right? They are committing genocide. So they're not going to just come out and say, oh, for the workers and for the Israeli. They're not even mentioning the people who's been there for thousands of years, which is the Palestinian people. These people are monsters, man.
Always in contact with congressional members. I don't have a readout of outreach that was done right after the call. Obviously, the call ended not too long ago, and so don't want to get ahead of that. But I think in that readout, the president made it very clear where he stands in this moment. He made it very clear after the horrific, what happened to the horrific events of seven brave people doing heroic work. What happened to them? He put out a very strong statement. So I think the president has been very clear. He's outraged, he's heartbroken, and this needs to stop. We need to protect civilian lives. That's why that's why his team is having conversations with
civilian lives. Because Gaza has a lot of civilian lives. Which type of civilian lives are you talking about? Are you talking about the Israelis or the Palestinians? Because they both got civilian lives, innocent civilian lives on both sides. So which side is the U.S. is going to pick, right? Let's keep it going.
the Israeli government on Rafah operations and what that's going to look like. They're having a reasonable debate back and forth and talking about that. We're hoping, we expect that to happen in person very shortly. And so the president has been very clear. We got to protect civilian lives. We have to protect humanitarian aid workers. And those conversations certainly are going to continue.
And you got a question yesterday whether the president's conversation with the doctor who'd been in Gaza On Tuesday was his first interaction with somebody who'd been on the ground in Gaza since the war began. I was hoping you might have give us an answer on that.
So a couple of things. I did have a moment to look into that. And so, as you know, the president and his senior team have been pretty actively honoring their commitment he made in continuing that ongoing engagement with communities directly, obviously impacted by the conflict in Gaza. And he did that by hosting community leaders just this week, but also you've seen the senior White House officials going to Michigan, going to Illinois, and continuing those conversations over the past several months. Look, and
I like to speak on how they speak on the little things, right? Not to get off the subject, but this is real also because I know the people that dealt with those fires in Hawaii, they are still going through a whole lot. They going, you know what I mean? They fighting land grab. They fighting with investors, all types of stuff going on over there, people. And this is what people forgot about. People forgot about the Hawaii situations altogether. And the reason why the media made sure it was forgotten about is because the real people, the social media people, the people who's doing the investigation, the people who are doing their own independent investigation, who are doing very good with their independent investigation in regards to what's going on in those Hawaii fires, found out that it was by a DEW, a direct energy weapon. Okay? And and then people found out about the blue roofs. You got a blue roof, you safe. You get what I'm saying? You don't, you get burnt up. You understand me? So that right there, and then to have a president come out and say in a speech saying, "Oh, everybody's roof got burnt down, but a few of them wasn't because they had the right roof on it." Wow, that's spooky when you hear your president saying that, and that's what happened, guys, and but nobody speaks on the Hawaii situation. Nobody speaks on that, and that was a lot of people that went through that. It was like the whole island is like gone. How is that not in the media still? How the media is not covering that? Because I'm sure people need a voice, But yeah, that's another video, guys. Let's continue.
we believe that by going across the country and hearing directly from community leaders in numerous states, that we are keeping that ongoing commitment. And so, look, there were three doctors who recently returned from Gaza who participated in the meeting this week, and they shared their firsthand experience with President Biden. And so we can say that there were three doctors. We're trying to be really respectful and keeping the privacy of those who are attending these very private meetings. But I am able to share there were at least three doctors who have had the firsthand experience, have gone to Gaza, and they were able to share their firsthand experience with the president. And so I can share that, but I also want to be really careful because we do want to keep our commitment in keeping these conversations private, and that includes the attendees.
But that was the first time that the president has interacted with anybody who's been on the ground, correct?
So what I can say is, I have not checked in on that, right? I want to be really curious. No, but I think three doctors coming to the meeting yesterday and laying out their first account, I think that's important, right? So we were able to share that information with you. Three doctors who've been in Gaza and were shared directly with the president what they have seen on the ground. That matters, right? It's so want to be very clear about that. Look.
Yeah, why we can't see what's on the ground? There's independent journalists out there all the time. Now, I guess if we want to see those type of images, we'll have to go to maybe other foreign channels and maybe they showing it, because the U.S., they ain't showing nothing what's going on over there, because they know the people is going to get mad in regards to where their money is going and what their money is doing. You understand me? So yeah, that's why we don't see it. Let's continue.
We are going to continue to keep our commitment in hearing from folks in the communities who have been directly affected by this. That's been our commitment from very early on. We understand how painful this is for many. We understand how important it is to hear directly from Americans. This is what the president wants to do. He's a president for all Americans. He has said that continuously on any issue. And on this issue, it is important to do that as well.
And then yesterday you got the question that the president had been briefed on this avian flu outbreak. Wondering, is the president going to designate any sort of coordinator at the White House or the federal government to manage this?
So I'm glad that you asked that question because we do have a couple of things to share with all of you. The president has been briefed. I think I may have shared that yesterday as well. Look, the health and safety of American public is very serious. We take that very seriously. Our top priority, obviously, is to keep communities healthy.
Now, did you just hear that fluff? She just said, "Yo, we trying to keep, make sure the American people are safe." Oh my goodness, the safety, yeah. Now, if you was concerned about that, the borders would have been closed. The borders would have been secure. You would have did everything else. You know what? I'm not. Y'all know where I'm getting at, people. Y'all know where I'm getting at. All right. Let's continue. This is crazy, man. I'm sorry, guys. This joint get me pissed off because they'll sit here and say all these things and let's continue.
Healthy, safe, and informed. What we were able to do is the White House stood up a response team with relevant agencies like the CDC, FDA, USDA to ensure that we are doing everything in our power to ensure we keep communities healthy, safe, and informed, ensure that our nation's food supply remains safe, and monitor any and all trends to mitigate risk and prevent the spread of avian flu. We are also in regular touch with those relevant agencies and receiving daily updates because, again, we take that very seriously. And this is an issue when you think about the avian flu. This is public experts, health experts, and agencies have been preparing for this for decades, for 20 years now. And so we have invested the ability to test, the ability to prevent, and to treat. And so as CDC said themselves, right now the risk to human health from this outbreak is low, but we want to keep it that way, which is why we set up this immediate response team. And so we're going to continue to monitor, and we're going to look for all relevant trends as it relates to the avian flu, and we want to make sure that we keep all Americans safe. Thank you for the question. I think it's important. Go ahead, MJ.
Corinne, if Speaker Johnson were to put some form of Ukraine aid on the floor and a lawmaker, say a Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, then moves to oust him, would the White House, would the president support Democrats working to keep him as Speaker?
So we've always been very, very, very careful when it comes to leadership, and we have always said when it comes to picking the Speaker, picking the leader in the Senate, we want to let Congress deal with that. We want, in this case, it's something that House Republicans have to decide on. That's something that Leader Jeffries and his caucus have to decide on. We are not going to weigh in on that. We've been very consistent over the past 3 years, and we stand by that.
Any recent contact with the Speaker's office that you could read out?
I don't have anything to read out to you at this time. Obviously, our Office of Leg Affairs is in constant communication with congressional members on the Hill. And I do want to just say, and we've been pretty consistent about this, when it comes to the National Security Supplemental, that it includes all important Ukrainian aid. We believe that there continues to be bipartisan support in Congress. The Speaker needs to put that on the floor. He needs to make sure that he gives House members an opportunity to vote for that. We believe it would get overwhelming support. And we have to remember, there are lives at stake. They're alive at stake here in Ukraine. The brave people of Ukraine need the assistance from the U.S. to continue to fight for their democracy. That's what we've been able to do for more than 2 years. We've got to continue that. And because of congressional inaction, we have sadly seen Ukrainians losing ground in the battlefield. And so
what a lot of people don't understand is that democracy means corporations over people. The United States is not a democracy. The United States is a republic. That's why when people say when they say the allegiance, I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, right? Now, you heard that part, okay? Republic means for the people, all right? Now, what they're trying to do over there is rule and do the same thing what America does, and they bringing it over there to Ukraine, right? Now, Russia is not about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it's corporations ruling. They're ruling over there, but it's not ruling over the people. That's why things are cheap over there. The cost of living is good. Things are great over there. You get what I'm saying? Once democracy goes over there, prices go up, corporations is over the people, and people don't get heard. People don't have a voice. And yeah, that's democracy. All right? Let's continue.
So we believe, put it out on the floor. The speaker needs to do that. Let congressional members vote on it. We think it'll get overwhelming support, 72-29 coming out of the Senate for that national security supplemental. It got to move. It has to move. Lives are at stake here. Okay.
Green, was the president briefed yesterday, or did he see the comments by Jose Andres in his interview with Reuters?
He's aware. He's aware. He's been briefed, and he's aware by the comments. Look, you saw the president. We put that in his statement. Obviously, we made sure that it was in his statement how he felt about his relationship, his friendship with Chef Andres. He considers him a friend. He sees him as a hero. In everything that he has done, not just in Gaza, but across the globe, in feeding people who are in need, the humanitarian assistance that he provides. We have said the op-ed that he wrote is incredibly powerful. And he, that the first couple of words out of his statement yesterday was outrage and heartbroken. 7 people died. Outrage and heartbroken.
Was he concerned about the discrepancy, though, between how Chef Andres described a deliberate attack on his workers versus what the White House and Israel have said in terms of describing that attack?
Look, there's an investigation, ongoing investigation. We're going to let that investigation.
Question: how he wasn't there with his workers? What he was doing? He gave the location, right? So they can make this propaganda and be like, hey, let's say Hamas did this. You get what I'm saying? Like, they full of fluff, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if the Israels did it or whatever, but this is getting ridiculous, man. Like, everybody sees the BS now. Like, they don't know how to fool people no more. Like, it's really a great awakening going on because nothing that they say can fool me. Let's continue, and I hope you guys are the same because it's getting old. It's been going on for hundreds of years, and I believe it's becoming a expiring thing real soon. It's about to be over. It's the Great Awakening, people. Let's continue with the video.
Investigation move forward, and we certainly, I think we all can understand how heartbroken Chef Jose Andres is at this moment. We understand that. We are mourning with him. We are mourning with the families that lost their loved ones, so we can be sensitive to that. But as it relates to making any declarative statement, we have to make sure that this investigation moves forward, and it is, and we will see where that takes us.
Thanks, Corinne. The parents of Jacob Flickinger, who's the American citizen who was killed in the World Central Kitchen strike, they said this morning they haven't heard from anyone in the U.S. government except for that first day when they got a notification from the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem. Does the president or anyone else at the White House plan to reach out to them?
So, don't have a readout for you at this time. Look, we've been always very clear about this, that our hearts, and I just said this to Jeff, our hearts go out to the families. It is tragic. We send our deepest condolences, obviously, to the family of Jacob. And, he and the World Central Kitchen workers were doing heroic work, as I just mentioned. And what happened on the ground as they were doing that heroic work in Gaza is tragic. It's devastating. It's heartbreaking. And we just don't have any additional calls to read out right now. I expect members of the administration to be in touch with the family to express our condolences directly. Just don't have anything to read out at this time. But obviously, our hearts go out to all the families who lost someone they loved.
And several Democrats are now calling for an independent investigation into what happened here. Is the White House open to changing its position on this?
We're going to let the Israeli government do their investigation and see where that takes us. I don't want to get ahead of that. They're doing an investigation. We have said we want it to be comprehensive. We want it to be make sure it has accountability. We want it to be swift, obviously, and we.
See, so the U.S. ain't gonna do no investigation, so that means that, you know what I mean? Israel can create falsehood operations and bombings and stuff like that, and the U.S. is not investigating it, and they just wasted money in doing these things, and what? They not investigating the situation. The U.S. is just laid back on this, huh? They just laid back. Laid back. So Israel gonna do the investigation, the war, and everything else, huh? Wow. So we already see who's in power here, guys. We already see who can do what they want, guys. All right? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, you know? I'm gonna bring this one funny thing up. Yo, Kanye wasn't lying. Let's continue.
We want it to be public. So don't want to get ahead of that. Let that process move forward, and we'll see where we are from there.
Thanks, Green. So yesterday, John Kirby said that the U.S. would not consider a shift in their policy towards Israel until they've finished their review of the World Central Kitchen strike. And just now, he said that the U.S. may consider a change if they don't make changes in Gaza within hours and days. So where's that shift coming?
I think we're talking about the conversation that happened today with the president. As we have said, it was very direct, it was productive, it was professional, 30-minute conversation, and it was based on humanitarian aid, protecting aid workers, which is really important, protecting civilians, and that's what the conversation was primarily about. And what we have said, it's in the readout, that we want to see measurable changes to protect those aid workers, to protect civilian lives. And so that is what he was talking about. That's what the president laid out in the statement that we put out. You heard that from Secretary Blinken today. And I think that's the way that we want to make sure that we want to be very clear about that. We want to see measurable changes to how humanitarian aid workers are protected. That's what the conversation was about. And that's the changes that we want to see the Israeli government present. That's what he was talking about in the days to come.
And if I could just get one more.
Sure.
Yesterday, Benny Gantz, the Israeli war cabinet minister, called for Israel to hold early elections by September. Where does the White House stand on that?
We're not gonna get involved in the Israeli government or any government's elections. That is something for them to decide on. It's not coming from here.
I have a question about electric vehicles.
You hear that, right? Oh, that's not coming from here. So then why are you at war then talking about some democracy stuff? It's the same thing. You supporting their war for their political whatever. Yo, let's continue.
Ford said today it's delaying production on an electric SUV. Tesla earlier this week said that its sales are plunging. Do these types of developments make the administration rethink their EV policy?
No, not at all. Look, when it comes to EV sales, they're reaching record highs. EVs are more affordable than ever, and that's because of the work that this administration has done.
Yo, this lady is delusional. Did you just hear what this guy said? And he's right. She's wrong. He said it's plunged, right? They behind. and things of that nature. And she's gonna come out and say, "Oh, they selling at record highs. They're affordable." No, they're not affordable. In other countries, they are. Yo, this is the only thing that's affordable is probably them electric bikes. But a Tesla is it's damn near 70, 80 grand.
Last year, EV sales surpassed 1 million for the first time ever. That's a 50% increase. That matters. Under President Biden, EV sales have more than quadrupled. Sales of hybrids and EVs are now a record high of 18% of all light-duty vehicle sales. Average price of an EV is down 20% from just a year ago, just 1 year ago. So we believe that this is part of, well, I should say, the president has always said.
Believe. They believe too much. They don't know. You get what I'm saying? Like, batteries don't last. Okay? We already have cars that run on batteries, but they all run on but they also run on gas. And they run much longer. So now you want to come out with an electric vehicle that just run off batteries with no gasoline and expect to go far. No. People who buy these cars do not expect to go far. All right? Now people would like to go far. And yeah, I don't believe these electric cars gonna take you from point A to point B, especially with the truckers. They trying to enforce this on truckers, and yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. And I feel it should be a freedom to either you want to go electric or you want to go gas. It shouldn't be no elimination of a whole industry that's been out for past 100+ years. You understand me? For something that's also been around for a long time, but they bringing it out like it's brand new. Electric vehicles, electric bikes, and all that, they are about 100 years old too, 100+ years old also, guys. All right, so that's what a lot of people don't know. But gas does the job. That's why the electric vehicles and the electric bikes and all that was tanked and was swept under the rug because gas performed gas combustion or combustion, whatever you want to say, it performs way better than a battery that's going to die out soon. You understand? So this is like like I'm telling you, Biden is a infiltrator. He's killing the U.S. economy from within. And he's doing it in a strategic way where people is going to get excited for electric vehicles. Listen, when I was a kid, we had electrical bikes, right? And the electrical bikes charged on its own. You didn't have to plug it up. You didn't have to do none of that. The electric bike, the frame was the battery, or some part of the frame was the battery. And all you had to do when your battery ran out, all you had to do was ride the bike regularly without, turning it on, and your battery will recharge just by you pedaling and riding the bike. And when it's charged, you turn it on and you start going. That technology didn't even hit stores yet. Or if it did, hit me in the comments below. But that's how I know about this electric thing. It's kind of corny. It's kind of old, actually. It's kind of old. They did this before, and they just coming back with this again. But let's continue because this video is getting long. It's going to be my first long video, guys. Yo, whoever's tuning in, I appreciate y'all. Yo, let's keep it going.
That he wants to make sure we do everything that we can to lower cost, lower prices. This is part of that, and also do everything that we can to deal with a climate crisis, and this is part of that.
So is it realistic to go from about 7 or 8% of sales to 50% of sales in 8 years if the automakers themselves are cutting back on production?
We believe, and we've seen that U.S. manufacturing jobs have increased. Jobs have indeed increased, and when you see
we believe BS.
Boom like this, that means you need auto workers, right? It can't happen on its own. And so we believe this is working. We believe this is part of what the president has promised.
See, we believe this is working. All that but you're supposed to know it's working. You see the terminology she is using. Catch on, people. Let's continue.
And we want to see a manufacturing industry that's for the future of this country, and that's what we're seeing, and that's what the president's working towards.
Question about yesterday's call with President Xi. If President Biden is concerned enough about TikTok to bring it up on a call with the president of China, why is he and why is the vice president, why are they still making videos for TikTok?
That's coming out of the campaign, so I would refer you to the wait. That's I understand. It is the campaign's decision. I would refer you to the campaign. We have been very clear. We are not trying to ban TikTok. We're not trying to ban TikTok. We're talking about a divestment. You heard that from the National Security Advisor when he's been here a couple times at the podium speaking to TikTok and the legislation and how we're trying to move forward. It is a platform that we really need to take seriously here. We're talking about on national security. And so we've talked about not banning, divesting. Not banning, divesting. So
Listen, national security, and you got the border wide open. Do you see, do you hear this nonsense? Do you hear the nonsense? The border is wide open, people. While we got to get on the airplane and get strip searched or whatever, you get searched to the T. Migrants could just take a plane close to the border and just cross it to come into the United States with anything they have on them. Contraband, anything. Let's continue, guys, please. All right? Always do your research on these people. These people are frauds. They destroying America from within. All right? Let's continue.
I want to be very clear about that. Go ahead, Karen.
There's a report from Bloomberg that the White House, specifically Jeff Zients and Will Brainard, are calling major Baltimore employers, including Amazon and Home Depot, encouraging them to not cut jobs in the wake of the bridge collapse. Can you confirm that outreach is happening and other outreach like that? And what is the message from the administration to those big companies?
So a couple of things that, and I think I've read this out before, that we have been doing as it relates to supply chain and the potential economic impact. The President's Supply Chain Distribution Task Force has convened multiple times at this point to analyze the impact of supply chain, which has so far been manageable, which is important. The task force worked with railroads to set up new service lines and with ports and ocean carriers to divert vessels. The SBA, the Small Business Administration, has made low-interest disaster loan assistance available to eligible businesses and set up business recovery centers to help on the ground. As it relates to your question about Chief of Staff Zients and other senior White House officials, they have called major employers in the Baltimore area, including retail chains and distributors, to encourage them to retain workers. So we wanted to make sure that we're having those important conversations for the people of Baltimore, obviously. They're also working with SBA to reach out to small businesses and are in touch with local unions alongside the Labor Department as well. So we're going to do everything we can to have these conversations with stakeholders so that we can identify any and address any potential disruptions. And so if anything, this should show that this is an administration that's being active and we're being proactive, obviously, in trying to make sure that we deal with any potential economic impact. Right now, as I said at the top, we see this being manageable, and this is why these conversations are critical with stakeholders at this point.
Will the President have any update tomorrow for state and local officials about Congress moving forward on the funding package?
So I'm not going to get ahead of the President. He, as you know, he's going to be there on the ground. We'll certainly have more to share later tonight. As I mentioned at the top, he's going to have an opportunity to engage with family members. We lost, as you know, we lost lives on that night, and the President, as he does, he understands what it means for people to have loss. He'll be there for those families, just like he'll certainly be there for the people of Baltimore. Okay.
Thanks, Corinne. I had a question about the state dinner next week. But I saw the White House announce today the dinner itself is going to be held in the East Room. And I was just curious, the last state dinner was held on a tent on the South Lawn.
Yeah.
Was the East Room chosen out of concern that protesters who have been coming after the president might be shouting out pass this outlawed and
Not
kind
at
of
all.
be the atmosphere?
It's not the first state dinner that's been held in the East Room. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, South Korea was held in the East Room. So I wouldn't read too much into it. Okay, I'm going to take one more.
It's been a while, Korean.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very
I
much.
don't-
I appreciate you
I
calling.
have thoughts, but I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself.
Thank you very much.
No, go ahead. No,
I'd like to ask you-
you are correct. It's been a while, so go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you about press freedom and then about a significant White House personnel matter. About press freedom, our
Yeah.
government appears to be closer to potentially extraditing Julian Assange. Press freedom groups say that the case threatens to criminalize our profession. So I'm wondering what the White House's thinking is regarding that matter and the potential threat to press freedom. Does the White House have a stance on the pending federal press shield legislation that passed the House and that Senator Schumer told me he hopes reaches President Biden's desk this year?
You're talking about the Press Act more specifically. Look, and I've said this many times. I said this last week, where journalism is not a crime. We've been very clear about that. And as it relates to this particular legislation, I haven't reviewed it. Would have to talk to our Office of Leg Affairs on that particular legislation. But I do want to say, back in October of 2022, the Justice Department codified a policy to ban subpoenas of journalist records. The president strongly supports the right of free and independent press. That is something that the president talked about when he was at the Gridiron. The president talked about this at the last White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Like I was talking earlier, then where are the independent, journalists that's out there in Israel and Gaza? Where they at? Why are they not showing constant footage online, on the TV, whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, where they at? They not showing it. They don't want the people to see where what the American people's money is doing over there. Let's continue.
He's been very consistent about this, and I'll just quote him for a second. A free press is a pillar of any free society, and while we may not always agree with certain coverage or admire it, we do admire the courage of the free press. Journalism, again, is not a crime.
Before moving on, just to confirm, no stance yet on the Press Act that you're aware of, and the Assange matter, is there concern about that?
I don't have much more to share besides what I just laid out here, so I would just leave it as what I just stated to you.
In prison 5 years.
I understand. I heard the question. I'm just not going to go beyond from what I just stated.
On the personal matter, I'd like to ask you about my reporting on Anthony Bernal, who is one of the most powerful figures in this White House. The First Lady reportedly refers to him as her work husband. 3 former colleagues have made allegations of sexual harassment against him, building on prior reports of bullying. Some of these sources have worked with you. I think you'd find them credible. But Chief of Staff Zients issued a statement dismissing the allegations as unfounded attacks without even investigating them, which my sources say they're alarmed about because they say it could chill sexual harassment and bullying reports. How can the White House potentially or possibly justify not investigate these allegations when the president says he will fire
So a couple
people?
things. I don't know who your sources are, so I can't. Just with all due respect, I can't speak to that, right? I just don't.
She's
I
trying
mean,
to shut them up.
they're blind sources. I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is you saw a statement from our Chief of Staff, Jeffrey Zients, saying they are unfounded. You saw a very strong statement from Anthony himself. It was obviously in your reporting, and he said the same. And I cannot speak to personnel investigations here or anything like that. That is not something I will ever speak to. And I'm not saying there is one. I'm just saying that I cannot speak to that, and that's not something I can do. But hold on. I have known Anthony for some time now. I've known him for more than a decade. I've worked closely with him, and I consider him a friend, but also a colleague that I respect. And that's basically what you also heard from Jeffrey Zients. I just don't have anything else to share beyond your reporting.
This, though, because the president said he will fire people for disrespecting colleagues, and there's no investigation.
I just said to you that they have said themselves, Jeffrey Zients and also Anthony Bernal, that they are unfounded. I can't speak to your sources. Those are your sources to speak to. I cannot. But no.
Special status come from
the First Lady shielding him as some
Stephen,
sources
I've
believe?
answered the question. I've answered the question. Anthony Bernal spoke for himself. You heard from our chief of staff, and gave your publication a statement, obviously, and you've heard from me. I don't have it. I don't have anything else to share.
Sexual harassment.
I don't have anything else to share on that. So we don't end in that way. Go ahead, Brian.
I guess I want to just clean up something that you've spoken to today. Would you categorize the conversation with Netanyahu that we've been told about all day long? Was it an ultimatum? Did we deliver an ultimatum to
No,
him?
I mean, look,
was it a shot across the bow?
It was a direct conversation. It was an honest conversation. It lasted 30 minutes, as you heard from my colleague. And we have said this many times before. You've heard this from us. You've heard this from the president himself. The prime minister and this president have known each other for decades. And because they have known each other for some time, they have been able to have a direct and honest conversation. And so after what we saw, especially with seven lives taken who were part of the World Central Kitchen workers, right? Who were doing heroic acts, providing humanitarian aid. After what we saw, and you heard from the president, he was outraged. He was heartbroken. He wanted to have this direct conversation on how to keep humanitarian aid workers safe, protected, and also innocent civilians. And that conversation has been happening for some time. And so on protecting innocent civilian lives. I mean, that's one of the reasons, as I stated moments ago, why he...
You see how they keep coming back talking about, protecting civilian lives. Why are you not saying protecting Palestinian? And, if y'all got issue on the Israel side, say that too. Say, we protecting Israel, pedestrian lives, and innocent Palestinian pedestrian lives. She is not being very specific at all. So to me, they are only helping one side. The United States is not the mediator in this situation. And let's continue on.
Wanted to make sure that his team and the prime minister's team came together to talk about their potential Rafah operations, because he believes that we need to protect civilian lives, and a major military operation was not the way to go. Understanding that there are Hamas operatives in Rafah, but we have to make sure that we protect innocent lives here. So they had a very direct conversation. That is because they've known each other for many decades. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you. Hopefully, we'll see some of you in Baltimore tomorrow.
She's full of fluff, guys. Full of it. She's full of fluff. You understand me? She's full of it, man. But I just wanted to do this reaction, man. What y'all think? Hit me in the comments below. Hit me with the comments below. Let me know what you think of my reaction, or let me know your reaction in regards to what they was talking about. I'm not sure if I got everything, but I know I got on that live. I was like, I gotta see. I mean, I like to see. I like to know what's going on. I like to see what they not saying. I like to see what they saying and what they not saying. So I can, do my investigation. But anyway, man, thanks for tuning in, guys. That's my reaction for the video here, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for subscribing. That's it, guys. The United States is not the mediator in this situation. They waiting on Israel for everything. It look like Israel have all the power. They the one doing what they want to do. So and the U.S. is letting it happen. That's what I'm seeing right now. And that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and one more thing. I'm told to say this all the time because I'm a new YouTuber. People, please like, subscribe, comment, share. And please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell so you can be notified when every time I'm dropping any one of these reaction fire blazing joints. You understand that? Because we keeping it real over here and we enlightening the people and we making sure we eliminating the fluff. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate y'all, nude, old, just watching, tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys. And again, I can't thank you enough. Peace. See you on the next reaction video. And it'll be soon. So see you next time. Oh yeah, this is my longest video, guys. We had an hour and 30 minutes. Hey, let's go. See you in the next reaction video.